Hello everyone, welcome to Carpo's channel. Before I go any further, I would like to say tonight's video is sponsored by Big Brother. Today's video is sponsored by the Big Brother Corporation. Let Big Brother into your home and into your heart. Your privacy, leave it in. Your privacy is highly valued by their staff, and they will always put your data first. Don't bother with the VPN, and ignore the haters out there telling you that we harvest data from you, like a piranha converging on a rotting water buffalo carcass. We don't. We only want to improve our service, and would never do anything evil. Also, try Big Brother Coffee, a jolt from the gods. Go to www.anything. We know who you are. I never finished it. It was a half joke. Very dry humor, but very realistic. Everything we do is completely monitored and recorded and documented, and I didn't take any notes except for that little joke intro there for this video. I'd like to say I'm doing this outside in the dark. It's a little bit chilly, but I'm actually pretty warm, so I'm good to go. And I'm using one of my new lights, which you may have noticed it's a little brighter. I actually have a piece of paper over it because it's so bright that, you know, it's 5 feet away and it's still pretty bright. But I bought those thanks to my Patreon supporters. Thank you. I always say that, you know, the money I make on Patreon, I just put into a green screen, a camera, lenses, things I need, you know. But I don't need very much. It's $100 a month, you know. But thank you to my Patreon supporters. I always have to say that. Tonight's video is about privacy. And I'm hoping that I can cover some important aspects of this. I did take some notes, but I don't know where they are. Well, that kind of sucks. It's going to be hard to read notes from here. So unprofessional. If I was a high-class YouTuber, I'd sit and edit that out. In fact, if I was a YouTuber like that, I would edit out every single empty space in my video, because that's what people do. It's annoying. I really hate jump cuts, is what they call them, but they're extreme jump cuts. If I'm not mistaken, there's a program out. There must be a program that automatically cuts out silence in your video beyond a certain decibel, or below a certain decibel. Which would make sense to some of these people who make these just jump videos for like half an hour of just no space, no silence. So anyhow, when I wanted to make this video originally, I was going to talk about Prince E. EA is his last term. And I was going to make a fake guru video, and I might make that after this. I'm disgusted by fake gurus, but I figured I'm even more disgusted by Google, so I really had to post this instead. So I have my little list of notes, and since I can't read them if they were on the camera, I'm going to have to look at them. The first part is about Facebook, of course. Do delete Facebook. And I'm kidding, I'm not trying to harp on anybody who uses it. There are plenty of people out there who use it just for family and friends and just don't care, and so be it. It's never going away. Billions of people use it, and I used it for quite a while at the beginning. I was a MySpacer when it came out first. Then I tried, you know, MySpace kind of fell apart and everybody was on Facebook. It was the only way I could reach certain people. So I had my Facebook account for a couple of years. Then I deleted it for 6 months, a year or so. Then I think I had it for another year because I needed it to get these tickets for Soak, my regional Burning Man. I love it. It's my favorite event. I deleted my account again. And then I think I renewed it again, went back and forth like this. I finally deleted it about a year and a half ago. I could go back through my YouTube videos and find out when I deleted it, specifically to the day, because I know I made a video about it. And it was that big joke about, well, you're deleting your Facebook. Of course you're going to tell everybody, right? But I wanted to make the point that Facebook is beyond what it ever was in the past. It's not just about them harvesting your data like a water buffalo carcass. It's about them lying about how they do business And on top of that, just pumping bullshit ads to you and then censoring what we talk about. You know, Kratom groups were censored for a while, just like they were on here on YouTube. You know, Kratom is something that's in my life that I can't even talk about because I feel like YouTube's going to like delete my video and channel if I talk about certain things. So I understand censorship. So there's this aspect, if you're one of the sellout bullshit artists who, you know, sits there and feeds people bullshit guru nonsense like Prince E, like I was saying earlier, that's okay. But, you know, if you talk about a plant, a natural plant, in a respectable way, I mean, and no harshness on people who are trying to teach others, you know, valuable knowledge. But when you have to walk on a beach in a white robe and put background music, you know, I'm just disgusted with all that shit. I just want real people who can talk to you. You know, I feel like I'm no guru, but I can sit here and talk to you and at least make a coherent sentence and make sense and talk on a level that you can relate to, right? I mean, that's what I try to do. But anyhow, back to the point at hand. Data is commerce. Data is money. Your information is worth a lot of cash. And so because of that, we have to weigh whether or not, I guess, how much we care that our information is harvested. And this is where we come to an impasse with a lot of this when it's a discussion about how important it is to protect our data. Because some people say, hey, I don't want my information collected. And others say, if you have nothing to hide, then who cares? And that's complete nonsense. We all know that's just total nonsense. Nobody should have to feel like everything they buy is being watched. And there's this one example that always comes up, and it was this girl who started getting ads for baby stuff, diapers, baby wipes, things like that. Turns out she was pregnant, but she hadn't told anyone, had never mentioned it to anyone. Her dad started getting ads for baby stuff. And it was another aspect I wanted to mention. If you Google something, it's going to come up to everyone in your household. If you Google, you know, try an experiment. Google diamond ring, over and over. Or even say it, you know, to your, you know, speaker on your, you know, it's crazy. You'll start getting ads for things that you're talking about in the room, and it sounds like some conspiracy bullshit, but it's not. Because a lot of the apps we sign up for, we willingly give it access to the microphone. And I don't know how deep it goes, and nobody does. And that's why people are pissed off and frustrated. We don't know how much data they harvest or how they do it. The algorithms, they won't even release how they do certain things. So we're kind of like, basically, a lot of these, if you don't agree to their terms and allow them to monitor you, you get this issue of not being able to update your products. And that gets into the right to repair, which is the fact that we all know, this is a completely different video subject, but planned obsolescence is the idea that things are created to fall apart. And also, people won't update if you don't agree to certain terms and conditions. And then they start, there was a whole thing about like the Sonos speaker system where people were getting pissed because they wouldn't update their older stuff and said they're not going to support their older stuff anymore because it's like 10 years old, which is total nonsense because, you know, your speakers that are 10 years old that still work should still be able to be taken care of and protected. But my thing is this, I don't put anything unwillingly in my house that has speakers or listens to me or watches me. I have to have a computer, I have to have a phone, we use these things, right? But I do not have to have an Alexa in my fucking living room listening to every word I say. And yes, they listen to everything. And if you think that they're not programmed to listen to everything, you're totally delusional. Now, if you're okay with that, more power to you. Maybe you're an old couple that just wants something simple. No problem with that at all. But let's say you have a family, even with kids, that are just coming into this world, starting to express their likes. Your kids are actually being watched and monitored too. So as a parent, you're responsible to make sure your kids have their own privacy protected too, if that makes sense. So there's this Nest products, or what they're called, I think. It's the Google line, Nest. It's like this family's home security system, which is just one of the many things. I had a couple on my list here. Ring is the other one. It's the Doorbell from, I believe that's Amazon. And the Ring doorbell system has its own controversy because cops have been using it. Why did I think of doctors? That's weird. Cops have been known to work with Amazon in order to use the Ring doorbell system to look for criminals, which I don't know to what extent that goes, but I just know if you have a camera on your doorbell, it'll watch you too. You know, you start tracking everywhere you're going, how often you're coming and going. It seems like we want to give this info up. And so the intro with the Big Brother, it's like, hey man, I read 1984. I know it's a cliche now, it's ridiculous, but I read it when I was a kid, so at least I was like 19 or 20, so it's been a long time. I need to read it again, but I remember that they had TVs in there. Everybody had a TV on their wall, I believe, that had a camera built in, and the camera could talk to you, watch everything you were doing, and people would just abide by Big Brother's commands. And if you had thought crimes, you would go to prison, or be executed, whatever it might be. Fascinating look at and there was also, I believe, Oceania and Europea or something, where there was two different land masses that were supposedly always at war, and the idea behind it was that there was a propaganda put forward to always keep the people as civil servants, just listening, doing what they're told, and being completely cool with being watched. And instead of that happening, instead of it being forced upon us by our government, we willingly took it on. It's pretty crazy if you think about it. So yeah, we've got the Nest, the Ring, the Alexa, and then of course you can't really opt out, but they give you the illusion that you can. Something that I found interesting was Pokemon Go. A lot of folks, I wasn't aware of this. I never used Pokemon Go, didn't give a shit about it. It was garbage from the day I heard about it. But what I found out recently was that Pokemon Go was actually designed by Google, and it was designed as a data harvest tool. You can look it up yourself. It was released under, I think it was like Atlantic Games or something like that, which was a startup, supposedly. But, they just made it look like it was some small-time game maker. In reality, it was Google, probably in conjunction with others, making an app that could trace people, track people, have them filming their own environment, and getting basically information from your activities. But the main point was to sell it to advertisers so they could understand more about how we operate. Anyone out there who's used Pokemon Go who doesn't know that should be perhaps a little concerned by the fact that Google kind of hid it. I mean, why aren't they proud to release it under Google Games or something? Nobody talks about these things, But one of the biggest problems I have with especially advertising is this. Like I said earlier, if you talk about diamonds will come up. If you Google anything in particular, and I've been wanting to do an experiment like this. So if anybody else is interested in this further, I've had this idea of having a whole bunch of different people talk about a product, an obscure product. Like I'm looking for something that's valuable, that would be advertised a lot, but that most people wouldn't want, like a very valuable purse, like or a Gucci jacket or something, and just talk about it. Don't Google it, but just talk about it and see if your microphone ever picks up because if you start getting ads for that purse or whatever it is, or those, you're going to know that you were being listened to, right? If you find out your microphone's listening to you, that's kind of creepy. Well, I've had these experiences where we're talking about pizza and a pizza ad comes up. I mean, it's very strange, but you can't really prove it, right? But I've also, I don't know, I'm a little bit wary about these things. I don't want to make it seem like, because there's an aspect of it where people say, well, I'm being sold products I want. I say, well, that's fine, but why can't you opt out, and why aren't they more transparent about these things, And the last couple notes I want to make are about permissions, for one. Permissions, of course, we know when you download an app, which I never use apps unless I know the app and the source, but Very few have I needed. In the past, when I was younger, when they first started coming out, of course, they're exciting. New apps. Wow, I can look at the stars. Oh my god, this app is free. I can download this for free and I can use it anywhere I want. What you don't realize is some of them ask for no permissions. Other ones that may just be like a horoscope app, right? And it wants permissions for your pictures, your records, your audio, video, recorder, all these different things, like a whole list of shit. And you think, well, that was kind of, but people agree to it because they don't know any better. They're like, oh, maybe it needs to record audio or something for some reason. There are apps that have been designed by Americans or Chinese or any other groups of people who have the time to make a little app that works really well. They don't cost much to make, especially if you're a government or a marketing group, and just give it to people for free. It's different. It's even worse than freemium gaming, right? Where you're paying for the extra stuff. This is where they actually give it to you for free. It's a really good app. So what I'd like to say on that note is, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. It's one of those lessons I've learned in life that I would really like to dispel that idea that, there aren't people out there just giving away awesome shit. Because there are people out there like that. And for the most part, though, if it's a huge company or you've got to do your homework, but you've also got to be very wary. Don't expect things you don't deserve, for one. I'll say this once. I probably said it 20, if not 50 times on my channel. One of these quotes that really stuck with me is, you cannot cheat an honest man. And what that means is, broken down, is that if you don't expect more than you deserve, then you're never going to get cheated out of what you don't have. Hang on to what you have, work for what you want, but, if they're going to try to give you a bunch of, I don't know, this idea that, the free tokens thing, my kids are growing up in a world where the games out there are just, they suck. I mean, I'm like, oh my god, this is a game, but you have to kind of go along with it. You can't be the grumpy old man who's like, oh, kids these days and their games. But anyhow, I got my siren in the background, so I'm good to go. As always, namaste, brothers and sisters. Thanks for watching, for real. It's a good time to be alive, because it's now. And when you're watching it, it's still now. And I'm going to give you some bullshit inspirational quotes to fulfill your day. But those will be in the next video. That's when I'm going to talk about Prince E and fucking Jake Paul and all the shitbags that just make all of us look bad. Just my opinion. Take care, my friends. And just, I guess, in a nutshell, if I were to conclude here, what can I say? We're all being watched, everything we do. It's a weird world. You can't talk about it enough. It's like constantly, every year, I think it's Moore's Law, where every 18 months technology doubles, capacity, storage doubles. Yeah, I don't want to talk about when I was growing up with kilobyte computers. We are in a whole new world now. We have access to everything. And because of that, it opens up our personal lives to the world of marketing. So the only solutions we have, which I should present these, are A, to make sure that we don't buy shit we don't need. That's one of the simplest things we can do. 2, to realize that we're being marketed to and accept that and just ignore it. 3, learn to look past ads. In other words, it's called glazing or glossing. It's where there's a whole new human behavior in the ad world online, where people just completely have learned to block ads because subconsciously they don't want to see ads, and they know what an ad looks like. So out of the corner of their eye, they see it coming up and they don't even check it out. And advertisers are freaking out. And I wanted to make this final note on this because we, the consumers, do play a role in this. We demand free shit. We pay for our internet, sure, and that's bullshit because it should be free, right? So if we had free internet, then we get free news, free music on YouTube, all this free shit. How are we paying our part to the artists, the performers, the creators, unless we're donating, like through Patreon, which you should donate to me through Patreon right now. I'm totally kidding. The idea that we all need to make a living off of what we love to do, right? And a lot of artists give up. I've seen them on YouTube where they're just like, fuck it, I can't make a living off this. I personally hate advertisements. I hate being marketed to, and that's why I've never used the Google AdSense, because I think it's just, it sucks. But at the same time, I don't fault those who do, because it's a strange time to live in, If you were to print a newspaper and people weren't paying for it, you would have to get advertisers. The less you're getting paid, the more advertisements you have to get. So I'm sure you've all been to a paywall at some newspaper, New York Times or something. You're Googling through the Washington Post, looking at ads about an article, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we dig deeper, donated $1 a month or whatever it is, and we'll give you access to this newspaper. And we're like, delete it, and just go to another website and get the same information. You're either going to have to subscribe or you're going to have to deal with ads. So I'm saying that ads aren't the problem, but taking your information without telling you how they're doing it and being dishonest about it is the problem. And we all should stand up for that, just like we should stand up for the right to repair, as I said earlier, which is in a future video. So thanks for listening. Be well. Peace out. Talk to you later.